What's going on, YouTube? Big news of the day: New York mayoral election. Must be a slow news day, I guess. I'll give them. New York is one of our biggest cities in the country, the giant influential culture place in the United States. But Mamdani wins the election as the new mayor of New York, beats out Cuomo, I don't know, let's say alleged. I don't know if it was ever proven, accused and alleged sex offender, and a Republican in New York that obviously was never going to win. In Saliwa, I don't know this guy at all, so if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, whatever, who knows. As I said, a Republican was never going to win in New York, so I don't even. I mean, I get it. Whatever, you gotta try. You gotta run and you gotta try, but he was never going to pull it off. Cuomo also was never going to pull it off. Supposedly people like him in New York, but this guy's obviously, if you were paying any attention during COVID, I think this guy's a piece of shit, and it kind of shows pretty easily. Surface level, you don't have to look too deep to find it. Let's say that. To be completely honest with you, it's not like I've been following the New York mayoral election that closely, but Mamdani, the self-proclaimed Democratic Socialist, I know Cuomo in their little debate was basically just calling him a communist, a socialist in general, no Democratic to it. This guy is like the new age Bernie Sanders type politician, I would say. And he took the dub in New York. I don't find that surprising. Looking into some of his campaign promises and things, I think this is kind of the new direction of the Democratic Party in general, like the younger group. Obviously, Bernie Sanders got shot down in the presidential election by his own party. They basically snuffed him out in favor of Hillary Clinton instead during 2016. And to this day, he's still, I don't know, he's kind of I don't know, Bernie Sanders kind of seems like a pussy. He just won't fucking call him out for that, and he's just got bulldogged by him, I guess, and he's just kind of given in to them at this point. So who knows, whatever. But these politicians, him from New York, Mamdani, obviously not running for federal politician status of any kind, but AOC from New York also kind of is in the same boat. I would think of her in the same wave. The Democratic Socialists, somewhat in my mind, I think of that as a oxymoron. This system, in my mind, just socialism in general, leads to this. I mean, all systems kind of seem to lead this way, one way or the other, but this one seems to do it pretty quickly, where we start off as Democratic Socialists, a couple people at the top take power, keep taking more power, and then you end up in basically a weird socialist dictatorship. So one way or the other, it seems to devolve pretty quickly. The United States is set up in a very special way where we have all these checks and balances against it. So far it hasn't happened, but who knows? Like I said, this is just New York, the city itself. But I think this will come down the pike next presidential election and through our federal elections, Congress, and things like that, as basically they run the same strategy that this guy did. I don't think the strategy is dumb. I think it's an easy one. It's kind of a smart one because people are a little too short-sighted overall, I think, in a lot of these cases. The strategy is promise people a bunch of free shit and they'll vote for you. Yeah, it's really as simple as that. I've heard a couple of his policy positions, but before making the video, I was kind of like, I can't remember exactly all he said. Let me Google it a little bit. Let me look into what he's saying, some of his interviews and things like that, and I think he's dialing this back already a little bit. He was trying to toe the line of not being too, not liberal, too radical, I guess, whatever you want to call it, however you want to say it. But he's kind of dipped his toes a little bit into defund the police stuff, free childcare, free college, free buses, free grocery stores, free everything. The government pays for it all, and you have a great life. That's basically what these guys always promise. Will it ever work out that way? I don't think so. My gut reaction to that is, I honestly can't stand when people call things free when it's stuff like this. It's so annoying to listen to somebody be like, we're going to make the buses free and the grocery store free. And by free, I mean we're going to tax everybody who makes more money than you, and then it's free to you. It's like, okay, it's not free, so quit fucking calling it that. But that's the dumb world we live in, where people don't Never had anybody tell them the no such thing as a free lunch saying when they were a young kid, and explain to them that there is no such thing as free things. Somebody pays for it one way or the other. And kind of like the point I was making earlier with this socialist system, if we ever go towards that more than we already are, you end up forcibly paying for it at the point of a gun, typically, or they just start doing insane shit to basically force people to do things they don't want to do. So who knows? People say similar things about capitalism. I don't want to get in the whole economic debate right now. To be honest, I'm not well enough versed on it to just start talking off the top about it one way or the other. I don't like the idea of it. The United States is capitalist, but we're not really. We're a blend of capitalism, socialism. We have safety nets. The Democratic Socialists, and the people on that side of the aisle, on that side of the debate, don't think they're big enough, so they want more socialism. They want more, broaden it, tax people heavier, and spread the wealth forcibly through the government, effectively. So, New York, that's where you guys are headed. Have fun with that. I'll kick it over here in Ohio, and we'll just do our thing. Maybe I'll go visit the city once or twice every once in a while and check out a publicly funded grocery store and see how bad that gets, because I don't see it working well. But best of luck to you guys. That's really, honestly, my opinion is that. My gut reaction, first thought, it's not going to work. This will fail. The only way it'll work, in air quotes, is New York's about to run up more debt than they ever have in the past by just basically, they're going to raise taxes on all the wealthy people and on the companies as much as they can, reasonably. People and companies that have means to do so will flee the state, and they'll leave. So then they trickle the taxes down on the next tier that can't leave, basically, which is basically your upper middle class. And they tax the middle class and upper middle class heavier and heavier to pay for the lower class. If that's what you want, that's what you guys voted for, that's good. There'll be a point where it kind of equals out. Like I said, this is kind of isolated. It's a weird setup with the United States where it's not even the state of New York, but just this city. I mean, it's bigger than some states itself, but is going to pilot program this. So we get to watch democratic socialism in action. Obviously, he'll be hindered by the other portions of the government in the city in New York, but if they disagree with him, but we get to watch. This is an experiment. Hopefully, not too many people get hurt during it. Like I said, I hope somehow it just works out and everything's great. Hey, maybe they raise taxes a little bit on the people making the most money in New York, and then everybody who's poor has a better life, and everything works out great, and it's all sunshine and rainbows. But I would almost be willing to bet all the money in my bank account that will not be the case. And the real case is most of this shit will either end up have to be covered up to make it look better than it is, while New York dives headlong into a bunch of debt to pay for all these programs, or they'll just say they're going to fund them and then never actually fund them, and they'll just kind of crumble under their own weight of a tax burden that they won't be able to realize the funding for any of these programs. So we shall see, I guess. I'm curious to what you guys think. Like I said, it's isolated to New York, kinda, but overall, I think this is the general trend of where we're going to go from here on out. This will come up in the next presidential election. I almost guarantee it. Eventually, I do think people talk about AOC running for president. They're gonna. That's the platform. I promise you free stuff. You don't have to pay for it. I tax everybody who makes more money than you. And the way this ends up is you tax the top. They can't pay for it because nobody apparently knows how math works. We spend too much fucking money in this country. It doesn't matter. You could tax everybody at 50%. We still, as soon as you tax them at 50%, we're going to spend all that money, and then we're going to spend on top of it because you're just going to promise more shit. That's how it goes. That's how it's been going. That's the trend. We'll keep heading right down that road until the dollar collapses, I guess, baby. That's where we go. Democratic socialism, I don't know, maybe just speeds the process up a little bit because we speed up how much stuff we're promising everybody. Like I said, community grocery store, we'll see. Maybe it all pans out, but I would say within a year or two you're not going to have any funding for it, or you're going to go in there and you're like, holy shit, everything's gone. And it's like, well, yeah, we weren't able to acquire anything because the prices are all fucked up, because the government's involved, and every regulation and everything we have to follow just ruins everything. Grocery stores, as far as I understand, already operate on some of the slimmest margins of any business I know of. Like, pretty sure Kroger and Walmart operate off like 1% and 2% margins. They just like, Kroger's a local grocery store also, if you don't know, around here. I believe it started in Cincinnati, Ohio, but a Midwest grocery store. They've expanded quite a bit now, but these grocery stores make money on tiny margins. So they move a lot of product, a lot of money, and then skim their 1 or 2%, 3% off that. Meanwhile, you got the tech companies, Nvidia and Apple and stuff, making 20, 30, 40% margins on their products. So it's not that business model. So it's going to be very hard for the federal government to do it. Otherwise, it's just going to turn into a money pit where they just dump way more money than they should because they're inefficient, seemingly, as most governmental entities do. Like I said, we get a first class seat, front row seat, however you want to say it. We get to watch. If I'm wrong, I'll fucking eat my words, and I'll be like, look, I'm wrong. This is, if it just works out perfectly and it can be shown to do so, I'll take it all back. Like I said, I'll be willing to bet a decent sum that that's not going to be the case. You guys let me know what you think. I'd appreciate it. Leave a like on the video if you got something out of it. Dislike it if you didn't. Let me know if you agree or not, if the trend is going to be this when we see the next. I don't know who's running for president next for the Democrats, but I'm going to bet they're going to say, we're going to bump them social safety nets up. We're going to get you some more money. We're going to tax the rich. That's where they're going to go with it. So I'll be waiting to hear from you, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.